timber,
Okay.
and, once we get it there, it'll go to the house and send it.
Okay.
But
And
it's-
once it goes there, I'm assuming Oconee County Farm Bureau will back it. Is that when you would want this board to back it?
Yeah, and
Okay.
just, if we can just let people know that there is help on the way, because a lot of people have farm pets. You have a lot of people entering your, land and coming on your property. It could be UPS, it could be FedEx, it could be the mail person, but you need that protection, you know, so.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Just have him bring it back to us? Do y'all think it's
I was just gonna say, what can we do? Is there anything we can do now other than just talk to people about it?
Well, we just need to get it to the Senate
Okay,
and get it to the House and get it passed. I was sharing with Kim, there's, like I said, 16 states that have adopted a similar rule. But we need to look at it real close before we adopt one and make sure we're getting
what we need.
what we need, for the people.
It needs to have the teeth in it to be the protection.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of funny considering it's the first bite rule. I just realized what I said. Okay, maybe Kim needs to find some better terminology.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help.
No,
I
deserve that one. I deserve that one. But no,
Is
it
it
really,
just biting, or is it like stepping on, or other stuff too, or is it?
How many's been around horses?
Well, I know that's what I'm saying.
A horse
but is
will
this
bite
just-
your shoulder in a heartbeat.
Oh, I know. I'm just
And-
saying, is it just biting though? Is it like
Anything.
Oh, okay,
Any-
okay.
It's pretty much
Any
anything.
kind of
Yeah.
damage or any kind of injury type thing?
There was one episode where a guy had buffalo, and people came by, had him in a fence, had no trespassing, keep out and all that on the fence, and the people stopped by and let the little girl over in there with it to take a picture, and the guy had to get rid of his buffalo.
Well, this,
Um,
to me, goes to the development thing. So if somebody puts a restaurant next to your house out in the country, rural area, and they, you have your fence there, and they just put the parking lot right up to you, then you liable to have an animal there, and they,
Exactly.
oh, let's take a picture,
Exactly.
And so that's why the buffer idea is so important.
Right.
And that, to me, is common sense.
Exactly.
But a lot of people don't have common sense.
South Carolina does have, under Title 47, under animals, livestock, and poultry in general, they have Article 7 is equine liability and immunity. And maybe what we need to do is look at that particular code to see if that's where this resolution needs to go to add to. Because under that, it does protect equine activity, which means riding, training, providing, assisting, treatment, any of that type of stuff. But it does say, like Charlie said, it says equine. It does not say
Right.
it has to do with the
Oh,
farm
okay.
dog that's going to be there on the farm with them.
Not too many people have them now. I mean, if I didn't have broiler houses, I would, but I've had chickens in my yard. And we had some mean roosters,
I was gonna say.
and they would chase down kids and hurt you.
Right.
You
I
know,
worked in the poultry industry. Yes,
I've
sir.
often said if a chicken was 8 feet tall, there wouldn't be a human left on the
Oh, I
planet.
know.
That's true.
Especially the smaller demeanor, too.
You've got a point, but maybe in the meantime, we can look at that Title 47 and just see if that helps, because in speaking with our delegation, that was the one question, well, I understand what you're saying, but what are you asking for? So I think if we do have a resolution, I know the Farm Bureau is real good about that, but maybe we need to have an idea of what we are asking for.
I will say too, in the county's animal ordinances, there are exceptions for farm, like herding dogs and,
Right.
protected dogs and that type of things. You might wanna take a look at that too and bring it up to the Oconee County.
Right.
So I know I've looked at that before for some people that have, like, one girl that has free-range hogs, and her neighbors were giving her a hard time about her dogs in her own yard. And so, I mean, you know, and they, you know, they're there for protection for her animals.
Right,
Right.
So,
okay. All right. So September, you can bring us back an update
I will.
on that. Okay, that sounds
It
great.
could be October before.
Before, depending on when our date falls, but, okay, that sounds great. And the legislative update that you had, I think that was some good news that Farm Bureau put out. I think a lot of people would be interested in that.
It's the farm structure tax exemption certification or clarification. And it was passed June the 28th of this year, and it's already on the books. But any structure that you have on your farm, whether it's poultry houses, buildings, sheds, whatever, are no longer to be taxed
Okay,
by the county. So,
all right. Well, that sounds, with everything else going up, that sounds like a winner.
Yeah.
So,
I'd like to thank, I'd like to thank the hard work that the Farm Bureau has put in
Yes.
for that, because it was costing a lot of tax dollars on poultry houses.
right. Well, that sounds like a positive thing that came out of our legislative session, so we are thankful for that. On that same note, Rex, you had brought up the next item. Did you have anything else? I'm sorry, Charlie, I didn't mean to cut you short.
It was, one thing that did come up, the grain guarantee fund. I also row crop and, do a few cows in the chicken houses too, but
Right,
the grain guarantee fund, what that does is guarantee you, if all grain dealers have to, out of the fund, a grower is guaranteed to get payment for his crop.
okay,
But what I really want to work on, and I'm working with Harriet and the Farm Bureau on this, in Oconee County, most of our grain goes to Georgia.
okay,
A lot of it goes to Anderson, to the grain elevator, but most of our soybeans and our corn goes to Georgia. And we need some protection on that in case one of the elevators or wherever we selling to in Georgia was to go belly up, we would be able to go to the guarantee fund and get payment for whatever we're selling.
okay.
Right now, it's just for South Carolina, but if we can work maybe the southeast, I'm not sure how they're gonna do it, but I'm talking to them about it because we do, and people, Spartanburg on toward Myrtle Beach, they do a lot of dealing in North Carolina because that's where all the bread mills are.
Right,
And so it's kind of like the same thing here. We've got a lot of chicken processing plants and feed mills in Georgia, so that's where most of our grain goes. So that's another thing we'll be looking at in the future.
okay. Well, that sounds good, because, yeah, you have to look at the geographical area
Yeah.
of where you are, and I could see if I was in Rock Hill, I'd probably go in Charlotte or Statesville, somewhere that way as opposed to the other way.
And the reason this has come up, because so many grain elevators, for whatever reason, some of them retire, some of them just do something else.
Right,
But grain dealers go out of business,
right.
like
That is
everything
true.
else, so.
Okay.
And we want to make sure we have that protection.
Okay, all right. So we need to keep our eye out for the grain
Guaranteed
fund.
fund.
Okay, grain guarantee fund. All right, that sounds good. Anything else that you have on that?
I think that's about all I have for
Okay.
now, though,
All right.
pretty much.
So that covers our legislative update and the first bite resolution. Moving on to the farm reduction protection. Rex, I think you brought that up and you had some insight on that you wanted to share.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it back up to discuss and explore some ways we can help preserve our farms, especially the family farms. We're seeing people coming in buying huge tracts of land, and everywhere you go in the county, we're seeing development. I read there are 10 subdivisions in the process right now, and someone said it's more like 20. And so everywhere we go, we see it, and the land's being gobbled up with housing or manufacturing or whatever, so we just like to explore some ways to slow it down.
Right.
We've got a few ideas, but, maybe need to form a subcommittee or something, I don't know
Okay.
when to bring it up, but, we're just losing a lot, we know, and then once it's gone, it's gone.
Right, that is true. Well, you know, I was thinking as I was driving here, we got to talking about preserving the family farm when we did our planning session. Last year, we kind of planned out 2 years. Debbie did a great job of leading that, and we went through some of it. And then this year, we've kind of focused on preserving the family farm. And last month's presentation kind of told me, or not last month, it was in June, the presentation told me that that's what people were interested in, because as we see, we have no public here tonight, but for that particular meeting, they were interested in how to save their family farm. So I do think, Rex, that is vital that we get on that, because I think that's what our constituents in Oconee County want. They want answers of how to preserve the family farm. And so that is important. So if you think we need a subcommittee, we definitely can do that. We can all look at things and, you know, don't want to reinvent the wheel, but you kind of give us the direction you want us to go and what you need help with, and I think we need to pull something together. I think if we had another meeting before the end of the year on that, as people are looking toward the end of the year and estate planning and different things, I think that would probably be a good thing. And that, I think that comes back to the heritage, that ties into your next thing of your heritage farm support, because that's what he was here about as well.
Mr. Coley did a great job he drafted a letter and I think published it, and that's why the crowd was here. But he did a good job advertising it, so that was a help. I'm sorry I missed that, but I hope it was a valuable presentation.
I think he did a great job. There was a couple of, well, there was more than a couple, but there were a couple that came up afterwards, farmers. Excuse me. And they made the comment that that's what they really appreciated it, and it helped them, and they were going to move forward with it. And I think that's why we're here. I think that's why the council put this advisory board in place, was to help them, be an extension of them, to help preserve some of that.
I'd heard of another organization that did that and pursued them until I found out about Dr. Kantrovich, and then thanks to Kerry, we got in touch with him and
Right.
brought him in. He sounded really good. The other ones didn't return the last few phone calls, so
Right.
they're at a distance, and they would probably charge a lot to do their
Right.
program. So we can hopefully pursue Dr. Kantrovich, and
that will be a good thing, right? And he did offer to come back, and that is something if we wanted to do that we need to discuss and make sure with James that is something that we need, and how we need to do it. And that was to have a more in-depth presentation. And I don't have an issue giving up time for that if that's what people need. Because I think it was well received and something that we do need to look at doing.
an idea that came up was that has worked in the past. I was reminded about the citizen-initiated
Right.
volunteer zoning,
Right.
and groups of folks can get together and declare theirs however they want to, and I understand it's flexible and revocable, and I was asking Mr. Coley to give us a little information on it. I didn't give him enough time, and I didn't realize he wasn't coming tonight, but do you happen to know many details about the citizen-initiated zoning?
I've only done one, and I believe it has to be a big area. I'm not really sure. I would just get with James on that. Let him.
Apparently, there are several different ways you can do it, and we will ask him to tell us.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be initiated by a certain area. It's like 50 acres or something.
I think it's
Yeah,
50.
a certain
I think that's
acreage.
related to this 50 acres.
Yeah, it's something like that.
So
Yeah.
basically,
Talk to James.
yeah, smaller family farms, if they wanted, could take their farm if they had 50 acres, or them and another, if it was divided, family members, and they could have it declared.
I believe. I think
That's because we had that come up before, and they had
reduced it. It used to be more than that.
200, I think.
200 or something, and they reduced it to 50. I will say, I'm sorry, I didn't.
Yeah, that's,
No, you're fine.
Going along with what you said, there is something that we need to be, like, I think, unfortunately, the development standards that we worked on for 2 years came up in a flash with the county council, really didn't give us time to make a presentation to people to help them understand what we were talking about. It got blown out of proportion. It had nothing to do with what they were about. So, to me, what I think we need to do is we need to work closer with planning, because right now they are struggling with this, because, the last planning meeting, I mean, there was one of the members said, we have a group that wants to slow development, and then we have a group that wants to develop, and then we have another group that doesn't want to do anything, which is gonna allow whatever is gonna happen. And so we need to be on the same page as how we feel about agriculture and what we want to do happen with agriculture, forestry. I mean, y'all know how I am. When I see a tree go down, it upsets me. Highway 11 is upsetting me with all the development there. So, I think we need to work closer with planning, and I think we need to make sure that the county council knows how we feel, because that slipped by us. And, I think the members that backed out of that should have heard from us, and they should have still had that reading and let the public, both sides of the public speak. And, I didn't speak. I was alone, but I didn't speak, and I wasn't, I hadn't talked to anybody because it came up so quick. And I was going to speak on my own, for my own self, but I saw the tenor of the crowd, and when they dropped it, I just didn't say anything because I didn't want to cause any more, but we need to be strong as far as the agricultural community, so that people understand and know why we're interested in, if we have to do from, the inside, or, why we're doing it. Not that we're trying to encroach on anybody else, but we're trying to prevent encroachment on to us.
To the farms. and
Right.
to the-
And that's where people don't understand. And to me, those development standards were minimal. They were minimal compared to other places in this state, our surrounding states. They weren't asking for a whole lot, and we whittled it down to nothing as it was. But it was going so far out of proportion you would not believe. I sit here in amazement as to what was going on. And if we don't stand up, nobody's going to.
That's right.
Well, that
So
is
we
true.
need to do something. I don't know, I'm sorry, I'm
Yeah,
pretty
you're
passionate
fine.
about this. And, time is of the essence, because like you said, everywhere I see trees falling, so I know there's development going on.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm concerned. I'm concerned where I live as well. And, I live in the forest, and I want to stay in the forest, so, we need to have a plan. And I mentioned before, I think we should have a forum for agriculture people to say, look, we want to preserve our property. That's our number one thing. And we want the people the planning commission and the county council to hear what we have to say before they start this new, because they're starting new, although it's going to be pretty much the same people, a new round of county council.
Right.
So, that's something I think is very important for us to accomplish. And even if it's just to have a coalition with the planning commission, because they're really looking for help right now from what I can see. for our
They do have a
voices.
subcommittee for subdivisions.
Okay.
You have to contact James to find out when it meets. It does meet during the day.
they're
So
meeting
that-
12 o'clock this Wednesday.
There you go.
I talked to one of
It's
them.
open to the public,
Mhm.
or you just can't show up because that's quorum.
Right.
But, if you can make it.
What day?
12 o'clock Wednesday,
Tuesday.
day after tomorrow. One thing we might could do is you remember the farmer and rancher listening sessions?
That's what I think we should do.
Get with a planning commission member and, get knowledgeable on the citizen-initiated zoning and go out in the community or invite them here or both. Go out to some of the communities and talk about it and let them know what it is and how they can do it. And
I was going to say, the Cattlemen's Association meeting, 4 of us cannot go, 2 or 3 could go. But bring that up if they want that protection. That's up to them. The beekeepers, are you still a member of that?
I'm not a member, but I can go.
And then, of course, the Farm Bureau meeting and the fair. I know I know there's getting ready to be some events at the farm center. And it may not be a bad idea to just, we had some stuff printed. Is that stuff still available?
What
Do
if
you
we
know?
do like a forum at the fair?
It would be in our folder somewhere, I would imagine, if somebody was something
I was just trying to not reinvent the wheel, and what I was thinking was if that information was there, one year we did you have,
the booth.
yes, your wife and I did that. We did kind of man a booth, just saying, here we are, here's what we have, do you have any concerns? Do y'all know who we need to contact, Charlie, about that, if that was the case?
This is a problem all over the state.
Mhm.
We're losing ag land everywhere.
Right,
And at the last meeting I attended with the Farm Bureau, they're looking at bringing a land trust. I don't know if that's not a good option. Paying you for your land. I lease a lot of my farmland and, people want to be educated and they want to be informed what's going on.
right.
With their taxes and all, they leave them in the dark. These new transmission lines that's coming through the land, they're okay and they're paying them, but it drops the value of your land so much because you're limited what you can do on that property. You can't build buildings, you can't have this, you can only do certain things around these transmission lines. I'm hearing a lot of that. But education is the ticket. And if they're looking at maybe a land trust,
Well, we have.
that could be an option too that we could.
Promote. Oconee County has a land trust. South Carolina has a land trust. That guy actually came and spoke, did he not, when we first organized?
Well, we have,
Emma?
the county has the the conservation committee too that needs to, but, there's money for all,
All of the above. I think they're all great options. I think our job is to kind of help put some of the pieces together, but I think education is key. For what Rex was talking about, I think we're talking about the same thing, but we're talking about 2 different things at the same time. I think we've got to somehow connect the farmers. We do serve under the Planning Commission at the pleasure of the council. Is that not correct?
We're kind of
How we're supposed to serve. So I guess our first stop would be back to the Planning Commission, the subdivision meeting. Maybe that should be, is someone available to attend?
I'll work Wednesday.
Okay. You said it's at what time?
Noon. And I usually have something on Wednesdays at noon, so I missed last week, so,
I do too. It's kind of short notice. Is it once a month?
They're on YouTube too.
they meet.
I don't think they're on YouTube.
I'm not the subcommittee.
And they meet sporadically, they don't meet at the same time, because it's a subcommittee.
When does the next Planning Commission meet? I guess-
Monday. They meet twice a month on Mondays. So
Opposite of us.
their next one's next Monday, I think.
At the same time as us, I'm asking.
6?
They're 5.
5.
They're 5.
Okay.
One thing too, just to follow up on what I said, a lot of people said, that came in here said, they just sprung this on us nobody said anything about it, and nobody, I've heard, there's no research done. None of that's true. That's what I'm saying, we didn't get the word out. The research we did on it, what it was all about, and what it was to protect, or so that we have harmony within neighborhoods.
Exactly.
So, that's what is the disconnect to me that I see is with the planning commission and the council. There was not enough, they didn't hear, they hear the loud voices, but they didn't, there wasn't we weren't cohesive about it. Although we wrote letters, and wrote, we spoke, everything else, but it would have been nice to be able to speak that night as a group.
Well,
I think that's a good reason to have the community meetings, and having one at the fair is a great idea, forum, whatever. And
And make sure they're there to hear it.
get the planning commission, a member or two, and get us and whoever we can get there that can speak knowledgeably about citizen-initiated zoning, and build consensus.
Right.
Get the communities involved and get their interest up, and that way it'll be hard to ignore.
I think education, so that, and I think the fair is a great place to start somehow. I think if they hear it, and they see it, they get, they pick up something, that will help. We'll have one more meeting, if I'm not mistaken, prior to the fair dates, if I'm not mistaken.
September.
Yes, 9th, I think it is.
Another good thing too, we'll have the farmer appreciation dinner at the old Oakway School.
I was gonna bring that up in the next session, but that's a good place to have
It's
it.
a good place to have that also. That'll be in September.
20th.
20th.
Yeah, I think fair's later this year than usual, right?
Right.
I had the dates here. Oh, here it is. So,
But that'd be good, that'd be good to
Okay, yeah,
do it there also.
okay. I think maybe that's what we should focus on then.
Because that'll be, for farmers there.
Right, and then that way the education piece would be out, and then you could go from there. Unfortunately, whenever things like that happen, the squeaky wheel's always going to get the grease, and I probably, in the situation, if I was sitting here, I probably would have made a similar decision because you wasn't going to get things accomplished. So there's sometimes you just cut your losses and you fade back and
it was a
punt
done deal. There was nothing after it.
and look at it. So, I mean, can't cry over spilt milk, time to pick up the pieces, and let's just be positive and move forward. Let's look at the dinner. Let me ask you this question real quick. I know we will meet beforehand, but if we know that we will have 4 or more of us in attendance, A, at the fair stuff and the dinners, and B, at this type of meeting, do y'all need to put something out advertising it, or how?
Probably would have to be advertised,
Okay.
yes.
So do I just need to email James the dates that we're looking at? Okay, so what I'll do then in the morning is I'll make sure, and if y'all guys will send me stuff, Rex, you're really good about emailing me a good bit of stuff. If you will let me know for sure, I will go ahead and send the meeting dates. And then that way everything's covered, because I just don't want to do anything to get anybody in trouble or anybody to think that we're not transparent. Because I'd rather sit here and say, we're going to the farmer's dinner, we're going to the Farm Bureau dinner, we're going here, we're going there, and there will be more than 4 of us. And unfortunately, it's an industry, there's nothing you can do about it. We're there. And that's what we do, so we'll just make sure we do that. So homework for next time, if you want to check on do you want me to check on I think it's online, I think we can get it offline, the citizen-initiated forms. If you want me to do that, I'll be happy to pull
If
it.
you know where they are, I was gonna use Mr. Coley to,
Yeah, they're actually on that website. I think all you gotta do is download
Oh.
it, because I had started pulling one out. I think
Okay.
there's some other stuff that we can download for farmers, the Heritage Farm type stuff. Did you wanna elaborate on that? I didn't mean to cut you off. We got on the farmland, and then we kinda went to that, but not completely. Did you want to elaborate more? I didn't.
no, that's
Me
all
too.
I wanted to say, just get going on that and try to come up with some ideas. The farm, have one at the farm center, and if we want to do another one out in a community somewhere.
Okay.
We could go to a school or a firehouse or whatever, get permission to go and have a little forum,
Okay.
tell them the same thing.
And if you know of those meeting dates or whatever, we'll just kind of send them, then we can send them to James and Vivian, and then they can get the word out, and so people know that this meeting is happening, and like, maybe not every member will be there, but some of us will be
It
there.
would just be posted,
Okay,
that way all of you can show up, or two of you can show
Right.
up, it's already advertised.
yeah, I would rather do that. The only other thing I would think that might be important to make sure we include on that calendar is, and I hate that Ashley and Tessa are not here, but, the food council. I know that they're, and that would probably need to be an item for next month, is to have Mandolin come back and whatever's going on with that, and have that, posted as well, so that there's no issue there for them, because I don't want, even if some of us don't get to go, I think that's an important part of the Ag Advisory Board, so we need to do that. Does anybody have, I don't have anything else, and it's.
Yeah, the fair, I asked the fair members what they're working on, what we could support them on, and they're working on community gardens, and I'm saying Mandolin Bright and
Yeah.
Ashley Townsend are people that we need to hook up together and let them talk.
Right,
And they're excited about doing a community garden at the farm center, so we'll try to get Mandolin.
I think Mandolin and that group would be a great group for them to be with, I agree. I think that's where it needs to start, because they're doing I want to call it different than what they are calling it, so I'm trying to make sure I call it the right thing. I call it the Food Council, but I think it's called something else now, so,
Back when we first heard about it in February of 20, it was Food Policy Council.
Food Policy Council. I think it is, it's just called the Oconee Food Council.
OFC, right.
OFC.
Right.
So we need to connect those dots, but I think that probably needs to go ahead and be an agenda item for next time. So we'll need to make sure we email that to James.
And the other thing about the Heritage Fair was, as Charlie mentioned, they wanted us to tell y'all about the Farmer Appreciation Dinner. We're
Okay,
gonna have baked chicken. It's not just for farmers. You can come with a Farm Bureau member. Hoping to have Dr. Belay from Clemson speak.
okay,
It's gonna be at the Old Oakway High School,
okay.
rain or shine. It's also the official opening of the fair, I
Okay.
believe, so.
The fair's later this year, it's the 21st of September. I was trying
Okay.
to, this was the opening day. I was trying to look through my notes, and I finally found it.
That'll be the opening day. It just won't be at the Heritage Fair Center, Farm Center. It'll be at Old Oakway High School, but let's go to that, and maybe by then we'll have more information on the citizen-initiated zoning, and
We
can talk about that.
Move forward, yeah. Okay, all right. If that's all, we've covered the agenda items. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
Second.